Hello friends, and welcome to you with this new video of our course Flutter 2.5 with extra features. First of all, thank you for watching my channel. I do hope you support me by subscribing to the channel. If you do like this video, please hit the like button and hit the notification bell so you could get the latest videos from the channel. In this video we will talk about a very useful feature, which is the provider package. We will accompany this using the provider package with using it with the Google Map, and also we will use it with the PostgreSql. We will use multiple addresses, so whenever any person, a company or a person, a normal, wish to search for one address, it will query to Google Maps, get that address as you usually see when you use your mobile phones or even your laptop. You will query the Google Map, you will get you will give an address, you will get that address, exactly the location of that address. So we will talk the latitude and the longitude of that address that we have searched. We persist it in the database. Then whenever we need to use it, we bring it back from the database, we put it in a provider at the top of the widgets tree of our application, and then we let any widget in our application, whenever it needs to use this latitude and longitude to show the map, it will go all the way to the top of the tree widgets, connect to the provider, get the details, get the values, and then show the map. This can be done in any widget in our application. So this is the scope of our video. Now this video I will separate it to 3 videos because it's a little bit bigger subject. So this is video number 1, part 1. Now first thing comes first. Whenever I create a new project, the first thing I do is to set up the environment, the development environment. This is a very important thing because it will affect anything you will develop with your application. So one of the things I will do is, first of all, I set the maximum SDK of my project, which in my case I'm setting it at 30, and then I select the JDK that I wish to develop my application with. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, I go to the Android XML. The Android XML actually is the file where you put all the configuration of your application. So anything, once you have set up all this configuration, now this configuration will affect anything you will develop in your application, and more importantly, it will control the final version, the production version of your application that you will left up to the Play Store. So this is one of the most important file, which is the Android Manifest.xml. Now by default, whenever you create a new project, you will get this file, but you will get this file having only this permission, only this one. So this is, you will get it by default, nothing else of this. Now every permission here you see it's been, I added it to fit for my applications, and now it depends on you whichever permission you wish to add, like the access media location, like the camera, like the reading the contacts. These are all the permission, vibrate, these are all the permissions that you wish to give to your application. So this is a very important file. Now other thing you could set up is the minimum SDK that you wish your application with. In my case, I set it up to 24, and I will tell you shortly why I set it to 24. Then one of the most important thing is when you want to work with Google Map, you need to set up your API key. That you will get when you create a Google API, Google services. You go to the Google website, you set up a services, and then they will give you this API key, and then you will use this API key in here in the manifest in the Android Manifest XML file, so you can access to the Google Map. Otherwise, you will not be able to access the to the Google Maps. Now, this is file number 1, and you can find this file at the app, Android app, src main. As you can see, this is the file in here. Now, the second file, which is I find it important, which is the Gradle properties, Gradle wrapper properties. Now, here is this file at the Gradle properties. Now, you need to set up the latest Gradle version, the latest. By the way, about the manifest, you could get all the queries types in here in this Google article. All these queries, you can find them one after the other, and each one what it can do and what it used for. So these are all the manifest details. Now, about the Gradle version is a very important thing. Whenever you set up your application, you need to set up the latest version of the Gradle. Gradle will give you, controls everything in your application, and also the latest version gives you a higher security performance or higher security level. So whenever you set up a higher security level, it requires from you at least a minimum SDK of 21, a minimum of 21. That's why, to me, I always set it to 24. So to make sure that I'm getting the latest security features of the Gradle, which comes with the latest Gradle version. And the Gradle, as I have said, you could get it in here from the Gradle version. You could just Google it and you get the Gradle release. So far it's 7.33. That's what I'm using in here. Now, another thing to use, which is, let's close this XML and the Gradle. The third file, which is the Android build Gradle. In here, in the Android, if you go to Gradle, you could see, where is it? Here, this is the Gradle, the build Gradle. The Android build Gradle. This file is actually important to set up the minimum and the maximum SDK versions that you wish to work with. Actually, not this one. I will show you what this one here. We will set it to build Gradle tool, which is the latest. Is 4.2. Also, this build Gradle tool gives you some security features that you need to. So you can find this Gradle tool also in here in this article of the Gradle tools. There are multiple types, Gradle Enterprise, Gradle, but here I'm using the build Gradle tool, which is in here. Latest one so far is, for me, is 4.2. I'm using it. It also gives you multi-security features that also requires a minimum SDK of 21. Now, the last one is the Android app build Grader app, which is this one, and the Gradle in here, the Android Gradle. Another one is in here. So this app build Gradle, in here you could set up the minimum SDK and the maximum SDK that your application will work with. So the minimum SDK, this is a very important thing. Also, you need to set it up. Okay, now having said that, these are the basic configuration or basic setups for your application that you must do it before you start developing your application, because what you cannot develop now and then you change these once you finish your application, then you come here and you change these settings, that will create a lot of problems for our application and a lot of conflicts, and probably it will not work. So best thing is that you set up this configuration at the beginning of your application. Okay, now having said that, let us talk about something that is important with the related to our video. Now, what is the provider? Usually our application connects to the database. Once it gets the data, suppose that widget 2 requires this data from the database. So the data will come to the app. From the app, widget 2 requires this data. Widget 2, there is a map. There is a map. This map requires some data, like latitude and longitude, and the address also, and whatever else data required. So normally what happens is that we pass this information to widget 1 because widget 2 is a child of widget 1. Widget 1 is the parent, so we pass the information to the widget 1. Here we have to set the state, set a new state of this after getting this information, and then pass this information to widget number 2, where is the map, and then we set the state, a new state of widget 2. As you noticed, the data we have passed from our entry point to our app, we didn't use this data, but even though we set a new state to our widget 1. Now this, imagine if you have 3 widgets in between. So widget 2 will be like widget 5. In this case, widget 1 we have to set a new state, widget 2, 3 and 4 we all have to set up a new state for each and every widget until we get the data to widget number 5, which is the map. That's a lot of rendering of data that your application have to do, which is loss of time, loss of resources, consuming the resources of your device. So it's not the best way to handle data manipulation. So the idea, here comes the idea of the provider. Let me check the voice, which is sorry. Here comes the idea of provider. Now what is the idea? The provider is like a widget. It is a widget that comes between the database and the entry point of your application. When you require any data, let's suppose I set some data in here and I queried the database, the fetched information from the database will be saved in here. Now this data, I want to use it in widget number 2. In this case, I will not go through widget 1. The widget number 2 can immediately and directly jump over widget 1 and the app and goes all the way to the provider and gets the information it requires to set its own state, set a new state, and show the map. This is the whole concept of the provider. Any widget, when it requires a data, this data available in here, we set the data from here. So instead of going up and up, I jump all over and get this data from the provider directly. Of course, this will enhance the performance so much, and our application will be faster in response with our users. This is the whole concept of the program. Now we will implement this concept in our application. Now this is the application that we will work with. As you can see here, this is the home page. The home page has a text field. In this text field, the user will type some address, a street, a house, a shop, whatever. This address, we will take it, send it to the Google services. Google services will find that location, give us the latitude and the longitude. We take this longitude and the latitude, we persist them in the database. Then whenever we need them, we fetch them from the database, put them in a provider, and then our app tree will use these values. Now usually without the provider, the home page will take this latitude and longitude, set a new state, then send it to the map page. This is the map page. Here we will show the map later on. So this map page will set its own new state and then show the map. That's in a conventional way, but not with the provider. Now with the provider, when we get when we fetch the data, the longitude and the longitude from the database, we put them in the provider, we will not set a new state here. Once we click on here, immediately the shop widget or the map widget will jump over the home page, go to the provider, fetch the longitude and the latitude, and show the data, show the map in here. That's one of the benefits of the provider. Now we will see how we will implement this also in the next video. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you do subscribe and hit the like button and hit the notification bell. Thank you very much.